Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another very informative and exciting session with Major General Sudhakar Jee. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaydev. It is always a pleasure and delight to connect with you. I learn a lot from you and your mother, and it's an excellent platform to exchange one's own analysis and personal views. And I try to be, as far as possible, non parochial and bipartisan in my responses to the global situation. Global, strategic, and regional and national, whatever you may ask. Please go ahead.
Yeah,
Always a
thank
pleasure.
you, sir. And also, our viewers, they find your information and research very, very informative indeed. And we're getting a lot of comments regarding that as well.
I only hope there are positive comments anyway, notwithstanding. I'm a man who's across the hill and gone through a journey in a most, I would say, enjoyable manner. Whether it is criticism or otherwise, everything will be taken as a feedback for my own correction. I'm also a student of geopolitics. I learn from people like you and the audience that you have. And very, very nice. I have somehow been attracted to your platform, not by virtue of you have very high end personalities. I'm a retired soldier. So, little bit of humble contributions, if I can make to the societal development and sharing the knowledge I have gained during my service period, that would be very satisfying for me. I don't expect anything in return from anybody. So, criticism is welcome. I'll be improving myself. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir, coming to the first topic, and it's very, very alarming news that Pakistan is witnessing one of the biggest exoduses of skilled professionals in the history, as thousands of engineers, doctors, accountants are leaving the country in recent years because of the economic woes of a already cash-strapped nation. So this is quite alarming because it seems that the inflation is getting to Pakistan, and the whole there were talks that Shehbaz Sharif is not happy with Asim Munir being chief of defense forces as well. So a lot of reports were there based on that as well. So and the people are not happy with regards to the Imran Khan situation as well.
Yeah. So let me start with some facts and figures. It's only then it will benefit the audience. Very good question. You see, uh, this perhaps 25th, 26th bailout, 26th bailout, IMF bailout is the ongoing one. Please correct me if I'm wrong. 25th is over. They had some last transactions to be carried out and some conditions to be fulfilled. I presume that the conditions have been fulfilled. But the point which you are raising, you see, over 5,000 doctors, 11,000 engineers, 13,000 accountants, they left Pakistan between 2024 2025. Okay, this I'm not saying you have platforms like WION and many multi international agencies there. So the healthcare hospitals, they are facing severe staff shortages in Pakistan, and which is resultantly putting a lot of stress in the public health system. Government response. Now, the attempts to curb migration, like stricter airport controls, face public backlash as they do not address root causes, do not give any kind of, you know, conducive or favorable outcome for Pakistan. Let me also share one very interesting thing. I was reading a book yesterday, something on Pakistan. It doesn't cover there, but small attributes of brain gain. You know, we have heard about brain drain, reverse brain drain. There is a thing in Pakistan which is coined, it's called a brain gain controversy. What is this controversy? You see, ever since the chief of the army staff, Asim Munir, he has started coming into the power. Often he's been seen and heard making a description of the outflow as a brain gain. You know, there are different ways of putting across. Like Operation Sindoor Phase 1, they were hammered nice and properly, but they said that they were victorious, they're successful. All conflicts against India, Pakistan has become successful. So he calls it a brain gain. This has actually sparked a widespread ridicule online, on social media, and by word of mouth as well. Okay, and the users are contrasting it with the reality of losing essential human capital, and this has not been taken very kindly by the chief of the army staff, particularly after the Constitution Amendment 27. So that amendment itself has got different this thing, but in essence, Pakistan is suffering a major brain drain driven by economic and political instability, with skilled professionals seeking better lives abroad and a trend starkly at odds with official optimistic rhetoric. Now, allow me to share certain things as to why this is happening. I have told you the facts and figures. Now they have left Pakistan recently because of a crisis of pay, security, living standard, the overseas opportunities. They attract talent, despite despite government attempts to control outward migration. So the key drivers of the exodus, I would say, if you allow me, I'll sum it up by saying that Pakistan is going through a state of high inflation, one. Number two, high rate of unemployment. I don't have the facts and figures. The figures which I have, they have all been superseded in past 1 month. I believe the percentages have gone up significantly. So I'm not giving those. Industrial closures have pushed skilled workers to seek better prospects abroad. Another issue, if you talk to these people, because I happened to interact some of them when I was overseas, it was just a coincidence because we all look alike when you go overseas. Pakistanis look like Indians, Indians look like, as it is, they are very scared to call themselves that Pakistanis outside. They will always, call themselves as Indians. Okay, so because you see, the central point is political instability. When you talk to them, then one thing actually comes out very loud and clearly, that the governance failures and the sporadic violence has created an insecure environment deterring the professionals. Professionals look for predictability or routine in life or routine in their profession, assurance for the pay coming to their accounts. Salaries are not being credited into the account. They're being served with show cause notice with the fall of a hat. Likewise, and by, in past 3 to 5 years or so, the opportunities in Pakistan have actually dried out. You see, so therefore, the lack of career growth, I would say, the lack of research funding, the lack of technological development at Pakistan or home, and there are many other issues. These are the main drivers of pushing the talent away from Pakistan to overseas. Particularly, you see them in Abu Dhabi or UAE or Middle East countries. Of late, I have started seeing some of them. Largely, I was in Bay Area. I found a lot of Pakistanis and Bangladeshis there, so likewise, they have been fanning out, but generally you see them in Middle East. And there is also another issue that you got to keep in mind. And there is a lure abroad in the sense there is very attractive pay scales, then the job security is there, then the higher living standards in other countries. They have acted as a strong pull factor. That is how Pakistan has been witnessing these kind of challenges, which are growing and mounting by the day. And I don't think, unless they address the socio-economic factor, this will carry on unabated. Back to you, Jaideep.
Sir, what is the equation between Shehbaz Sharif and Asim Munir? How do you see it?
My take on the whole issue is that no civil government ever, even if it is a puppet government, will ever like to be governed by a military authority. Okay, no civil government across the world. Shehbaz Sharif, you all know it, Constitution 27 amendment, when it was to be ratified, the parliament had ratified, but then the chief executive has to recommend, president was to approve, and then the gazette goes for publication. Okay. Suddenly, we got the news that he was in Bahrain. From Bahrain, he was flying to London, and he was called back from London. When he was called back from London, some news I saw in the open source, Instead of coming to Rawalpindi, he was elsewhere, Lahore or Karachi. I think he landed at Karachi. As if the impression which was conveyed to the environment was he was deliberately avoiding this particular approval. But then Munir is Munir. He's the supreme authority. He has got his finger on the nuclear command authority. He's got his finger on the Air Force, Navy, Army, and he's got the legal immunity for life. He cannot be impeached. He is not held accountable by media. He is not held accountable by judiciary. So, and he's created one federal constitutional court, FCC. What is that Federal Constitution Court? Federal Constitution Court is a parallel organization of judiciary which is equivalent to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has been marginalized. It has been sidelined. So under these circumstances, I don't think any civil government will like, and particularly when the chief executive is chief executive, if he's a puppet like this, you see, earlier he was a puppet in any case, but now it has become very visible. Everyone in the world is talking that Pakistan is being ruled by one man authority. That is Modi. So, therefore, my take on the whole issue is that, and the chief executive is supposed to be the last one to put his finger on the nuclear command authority. That itself has gone. It is being actually driven by Munir. So, under these circumstances, he is just like a rubber stamp, and decisions are being taken by Munir, and activities are being taken done by the army, Pakistan army. How far it will go, Jaidev, it is anybody's guess. I don't think it is going to last too long. Everything which is unnatural, artificially created, will die a very quick death. It is something like that larva and the butterfly story, if you let the butterfly take birth prematurely from the larva, then you will find the wings are shorter, it cannot fly, so let it go through the natural process. The natural process would have been, in my opinion, would have been allow the democracy to flourish, okay, release Imran Khan from the jail. Let Pakistan be driven by the natural theory and the factors of growth of a democracy, Islamic Republic. Because after all, country is what? Country is of the people. It is for the people, by the people, and of the people. And second thing is that the document which they have, Constitution, the Constitution came into existence in 1973, post Bangladesh liberation. That also is fraught with multiple, glaring deficiencies. The very concept, the opening paragraph itself is very faulty. So, under these circumstances, I feel, in my opinion, they don't see eye to eye. And whatever good rapport and understanding they had in the past, that itself has nosedived now. Gradually, the fault line will start coming up. One or two of them have come into open domain in past 48 hours. The foreign minister and the deputy prime minister, he has given a statement contradicting the statement of Field Marshal Munir as to what happened during Operation Sindoor. Okay. And Field Marshal Munir has gone to the extent, he's been promoted. Promotion takes place when? When you are successful in a conflict, in a war. So he has showcased himself that he is a successful commander. That's why he deserves to become a field marshal, and that is how this honorary rank has been given to him. But was he really successful? Today in the news, it has come out that the president of Pakistan also was advised by his MA or MS to go into the bunker. Okay, I read in one of the newspapers that if you have to die a death, die a soldier's death in the battlefield, why do you have to hide yourself in the bunker? Somebody has advised him. Similarly, Shehbaz Sharif also was inside the bunker. Munir did not come out of the bunker. But what I'm trying to highlight is that here is the deputy prime minister and the foreign minister who has gone public in saying that Noor Khan was devastated. It was hit accurately with a precise kind of a projectile and missile system, and it has inflicted heavy damage, irreversible. What's to the effect of irreversible damage in Noor Khan? And Kirana Hills is not very far off. So these contradictions are actually pointing towards difference in opinion, the fault lines widening gradually, difference in view. So Prime Minister may not be able to say all this, but his deputy and others have started talking like this. I think President also has made, Zardari has made a comment at one place. I was looking at the Western press or someplace. I saw very adverse kind of a comment has been given, which is contradicting the army chief or the general impression in the environment. Okay, so and where is it going to point? I really don't know. Times are going to tell us. We have to wait, have patience, and wait for the outcome of these moves. And now the next question should come from you: Is America going to wait and watch? Certainly not. America is going to push ahead because it knows that there is only one organization and one entity which will deliver result, whether it talks about the rare earth element or it talks about a space Bagram airfield in Afghanistan, although I know Afghanistan Taliban will never agree to it. But to get closer to Bagram airfield, they have to go through Pakistan. There is no other approach. So the transit route is going to be provided by Pakistan. Who gives in Pakistan? It is Asimony Rilgir. Cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, personally speaking, if you ask for my opinion, any currency which does not have a natural corpus, okay, and which has been artificially created without any self-sustaining ecosystem. Self-sustaining ecosystem means the inflow has to be more than the outflow of the wealth. Okay, so it is bound to get collapsed. So these are my personal takes, and therefore, to come back to the pointed question which you made, in my opinion, the differences have started showing. Cracks are actually opening up gradually. They will today they may be looking at each other, they may be having eye contact. Day is not very far. Either of them will start dropping the eyelid or looking down so as to avoid the eye contact when they're communicating with each other. This is going to be disastrous for Pakistan in times ahead.
What about the Hawala system?
Hawala, nobody can stop. Pakistan, whatever little survival, you see, Hawala, wherever there is insurgency or terrorism, terrorism is surviving in epicenter of terrorism of the world even today is in Afghanistan Pakistan corridor. Okay, although Pakistan is going all out, making an all out effort to open a new front that is in Bangladesh, where you have Hamas, you have Hezbollah, you have Jaish Muhammad, Lashkar e Toiba, you have Hizbul Mujahideen, you have ISIS, Al Qaeda, name an outfit, it is there. It is led by Turkey, supported by Qatar, and you have Rohingya, Fourth Brotherhood Alliance there also. And Ulfa camps are they have been opened up. They are being used for training purposes. So under these circumstances, what I see, my take on the whole issue is that the Hawala, without sustained flow of wealth, it will be difficult for any terrorist organization to exist. Afghanistan has abandoned cultivation of poppy. Okay, 100%, they say. I take it, if not 100%, at least 90% has been reduced. Whatever 10% is there, that also will reduce because Taliban has taken a very drastic step against this. So this 90% which has been closed, it has actually gradually, incrementally migrated towards Balochistan. One. Second, whatever revenue generation, in the peak of revenue generation, I think it was 2021-22, the golden crescent you call it, they had generated $32 billion in 1 year, primary, secondary, tertiary layers of economic layers of activity. Okay, so it is sowing, then harvesting, then after harvesting, you processing, then the courier service, then you cross the border, then you transact. If you are buying for 1 kg of heroin, if you are buying it for say 1 lakh rupees, you are selling it for 2.5 to 5 lakhs. Okay, this is the best form of the narcotics over there. So if this is dried out, why I'm actually highlighting this aspect is, if this dries out, how do they sustain? IMF loan is not good enough to sustain the requirement of the governance. So therefore, they are surviving today because of the hawala money, and particularly they are flowing in from anywhere and everywhere. I would say it is from Middle East. It is coming in a large quantum. Europe is not far away, because you would have come to know from the open source media that in Italy 2 days back, uh, the large quantum of money which had been collected from charity was actually going towards Hamas, buying of weapons for the Hamas. So similarly, if it can go for Hamas, Pakistan is not very far off, because Pakistan and Palestine, they are hand in gloves. Pakistan supports Palestinian movement. Okay, it doesn't support Israeli. They are anti arch rival of Israel. So, and also Northwest Africa and Central, wherever you find the terrorism is prevailing, you will find ISI operating with them for two things: narcotics as also hawala. Without hawala, Pakistan economy cannot actually sustain for a long time. It will collapse. It will simply collapse. That's my take. I don't think I'm wrong. But today I don't have facts and figures. Maybe next time I'll be able to give you the facts and figures, percentage, year wise. But going by the uh, a general, a broader perspective, they definitely are in a downswing. And because of Hawala is playing a very important role. And there is no action by the security apparatus or by the enforcement agencies.
Sir, do you think Modi ji will demonetize the 500 rupee note anytime?
Demonetization of 500 rupee note. Yes, if you are asking this question, then I take it that you know that 500 rupee is commonly being seen as a counterfeit currency coming from country like Pakistan, from Nepal. Also, I had been to Maldives. I saw it is being misused to large an extent, and the way it is started getting misused, I think there is no harm. You see, the government should take a call to demonetize it, because something came out in the open source few days back. They are already considering to go in for a new currency. Okay, what that currency note is going to be, it's just a matter of time. I think it is likely to be, because periodically, if you do not demonetize, then we are actually playing into the hands of the Hawala operators, to the terrorist operators, to the fund flow which sustains terrorism. So we need to resort to this particular warfare. This is called hybrid or irregular warfare, to beat the cycle of dominance by forces which are inimical to India's interest. We have to constantly remain alert, and I'm sure the Reserve Bank of India is quite agile and alert, taking right action. And since you are asking the question, you are in know-how. I take it that you are also amenable to this suggestion. It must be done by the government at the earliest or at an opportune time.
Sir, coming to the next point is that there were protests for about the killings of the Hindus in Bangladesh in London, and apparently Khalistanis disrupted the protest. And what is quite, as we know that it is believed that the Pakistani state and the ISI have been hand in glove with the Khalistanis, including funding and supporting them in US and Canada. So how do you see this, sir?
Straight away, I would say this is this is a concept. What is happening in Bangladesh is absolutely dominated or hidden by the deep states of Western countries, or the leading economies, I would say, to large an extent. And it is being coordinated by ISI of Pakistan. It will not die down so soon, it will continue. Today we are talking about Khalistan, tomorrow it may be some other movement in London. And I was just closing, going into the backgrounders. I realized that this is for the first time Khalistani movement has been launched to to dispel the protest by the Hindus. protest by the Hindus in to raise the highlight the issue of the minority Hindus who are being killed in Bangladesh. It has never happened in the past. So when a thing like this takes place, that means the Khalistan group is seek for justice. We know Pannu is connected to this. He's got dual citizenship. He's got a hold over people in Canada, hold over limited, not many in USA, and he's connected to all the Five Eyes. Okay, the Five Eye countries. London happens to be one of the eyes. So when a thing like this takes place, Pannu also doesn't remain a backgrounder. He comes to the front line and starts getting activated. So it is on his direction. The Khalistanis have come up, and he also is party to the deep state strategy to destabilize India and put all efforts to destabilize our political stability, retard our economic growth, and also bleed India to death as early as possible, which is simply impossible because the the civilizational strength that India has demonstrated in past so many years, or historically, the resilience that we have shown as a country, or as a civilization, is something which is unparalleled, something which is not visible anywhere in the world. Within 77 years, which country in the world has shown a progress of literacy from Shashi Tharoor's his book said 17% way back in 47. I say it was 12% literacy, and now the average is come to 76%, between 76 to 83%. Which country? And when you talk about the GDP, it was non-existent. Why go that far? The GDP in 1991, when the liberalization of Indian economy took place, was just about $262 billion. And now the GDP in just about 25 or plus 11, 36 years, it has jumped to $4.19 trillion. And if you want to draw any parallel, look at the GDP. It took us 60 years to reach 1 trillion, that is 2007. 7 years to reach 2 trillion, that is 2014. 5 years to reach 3 trillion US dollar by 2019. And say another 5 or 6, it would have taken 2 years, 2 to 3 years to actually jump to 4 trillion, but because of pandemic, ongoing war, supply chain disruptions, price rise of food, fuel, and fertilizer, it got delayed. It took almost 5 6 years to reach a figure of 4.19. And I'm sure, despite all resistance, all inimical activities against India's growth, will touch $5 trillion by 2029, if not earlier. This is my not optimism. I'm talking about realistically. And by 2030, we're definitely going to be a $7 trillion economy. By 2035, it will be more than 10 trillion. And what matters is the per capita income. The per capita income of India is one of the lowest, $2,800. To become a global power by 2047, we should measure up or meet the parameters outlined by the UN agency, which says it should be minimum 13,685, around 14,000 US dollar. So India has set a target of 14,000 to 20,000 US dollar. As per my calculation, from the year 2040 to 2047, the Indian economy will gallop. It will multiply. More the money, faster is the multiplication. But take the example of China, what has happened? Their governance is different. It's a communist style of governance. Ours is a democracy. And democracies are always noisy democracy, that too with multi-party system that we have. But still, look at the improvement that we have made in past 14 years, 11 years. It is the leadership that matters. Without meaning, I am neither BJP nor Congress, because a lot of my friends, they keep sending me messages to BJP join कर लिया. मैं कुछ नहीं join किया हूँ. Nothing. And I personally feel that the present dispensation is very responsive, very accountable, and progressive in its approach. We people have a role and responsibility to play. Otherwise, we are playing into the hands of the enemy by raising nonsensical issues, by raising irrelevant issues, which neither are they connected to growth nor are they towards the prosperity. So, therefore, my take on the whole issue is that yes, the answer is yes. Narendra Modi has definitely made a significant stride in the direction and taking the nation ahead in a very, very, I would say, scientific, sophisticated manner. You talk about Man Ki Baat. This is one thing which I have been, people talk about strategic communication. I'm saying don't talk about strategic or tactical communication. Simple communication by the Honorable Prime Minister once in a month. Whole nation is listening to him. Which country in the world is practicing this theory? So this is what I have been doing in the army. I used to do constantly, be on touch, talk to the people, talk to the men. A senior commander, how often have you seen a prime minister going to the border areas? Come Diwali, he is there. Come any festival, he is there. At times at Run of Kutch, at times in Ladakh, at times going to Northeast. This makes a difference. And that difference is because we know, technically speaking, we are far behind in comparison with our northern adversary. Far, far behind. So, therefore, our soft power is to embolden our soldiers. Not that we are saying Chinese are 7.5 feet tall. Okay? So, Chinese also know that India is much more capable than what it was in 1962. Okay, in terms of the morale, motivation, and the wherewithal, the support system that we have. They find it difficult to actually beat India conventionally. So, therefore, they are creating a kind of an ecosystem in our backyard in Bangladesh, in Myanmar, okay, Manipur. You will keep finding Manipur also burning at times. So, and slowly they are trying to penetrate into states like Bihar, West Bengal elections are around the corner. They will have, they're planning for serial blast. Let's see. I think our security apparatus is doing an excellent job, and without beating our chest and without glorifying our own mm, activities or achievements or basking in the glory of past 11 years, we should be very cautious and trade our path navigate the complex path in a very deft and efficient manner, because this Bangladesh thing, I look at it, is a huge danger before India. It is, if you do, you are in for trouble. You are drawn in for a long conflict. If you don't do, you are also in for it. It is like between the deep sea, between the devil and the deep sea. So therefore, it is to a very calibrated approach. One has to identify what is the real problem, real threat, and accordingly, a response matrix has to be decided. You have to see short term, medium term, long term. You have to see kinetic is the last component which should not be touched. We need to have a strategic dominance over a escalatory matrix, meaning we must have an entry point and exit point, and if at all the conflict takes place, it should be standoff, no boots on ground, and it should be punitive. And we must follow the deterrence. There is a saying goes, deterrence of denial to deterrence of punishment. What this means is, deterrence of denial is the covert operation. Earlier, we may have conducted some covert operation, but now we are telling the country or the adversary that we will come and hit you. This is the shift in our doctrine. So, in keeping with all this doctrine, I'm sure the political leadership, the military leadership in the hierarchy, they would be operating in concert, and they will come out with something very smart and innovative and creative to quell the challenges which are emerging from, or address the challenges emerging from Bangladesh. It will be a kind of a multi-domain operation. We have already opened up how many? 3 military stations along the Siliguri corridor. Okay, the fourth one is being opened up between Mizoram and Bangladesh. So I'm sure the government is taking a very significant and gigantic steps, but without creating any tremors. That's the way to go, and because we need to learn how to grow silently. You know, old saying: when a tree falls, it makes noise. When it grows, it doesn't make any noise. So that's the way we have to go.
Yeah, and so and also the last point is that a lawyer aligned with pro-Pakistan Jamaati Islami has issued a death threat to Tariq Rahman, who has returned after 17 years in exile. So, how do you see this development?
You see, Tariq Rahman one has to. This is a very disturbing development taking place. Although I am given to understand that BNP has started uh, allying with the Jamaiti. There are 30 people from BNP. I'm going by the open source who have protested this, and they have raised the bogey and raised the point that the same Jamaiti are from Pakistan. They are the ones who were fighting against the Bangladeshis. They are the ones who are responsible for the genocide. 3 million, more than 3 million people are killed. More than 250,000 women and children they were raped. How can you take sides of the Jamaiti? But then these are the natural evolution. If you try to force something, then that may give rise to something which is detrimental to the overall growth. So, in my opinion, I personally feel that this particular movement which has taken place, although it is a strategic lever being applied by the invisible forces, maybe the deep state of America, maybe the CIA, to pointedly say that perhaps they come up with the alternate vertical and they're trying to play the card of BNP. But whether BNP will be successful or not, that time will tell. I'm getting feedback from the ground level that he may be the next target. You know, his security and safety is of paramount importance. Will Yunus be able to provide security and safety to him? And number two, you know, there is one thing to act out of emotion. There is another thing to act out of rationality. Presently, people are emotionally charged. It is nowhere close to a conducive atmosphere desirable prior to the election. The violence level are going up. After Hadi's killing, you see the people from NCP, uh, their leaders or secretary, important leaders, they have been coming out. There are four conditions which have been thrown up today to Yunus government that within next 24 days, the people who are responsible for killing of Hadi should be taken to task and brought before the justice. And likewise, they have given out two, three other points. So such like issues will keep coming up, and the military is going to be in a quandary whether they play their cards deftly or efficiently. That is anybody's guess. So at the moment, I see that there is a huge danger to his life and safety. BNP is totally charged up. And mind you, Awami League has been banned. They are not allowed to participate. But the popularity of Awami League has definitely surged. It has gone beyond 51 to 56%. 56% out of 17 crores of population means it is almost 8.5 crores population of Awami League who have been prevented or stopped from participating in the elections. So therefore, my take on the whole issue is that it's a welcome development. The elections must be held because Yunus doesn't want the elections to be conducted on 12th of February. He wants it to be deferred and wants to buy time. And his purpose, intention is to delay the elections as long as possible, because if you delay the elections, the violence level is going to go up. There will be terrorism, there will be lynching of troops, oh sorry, minorities, there will be Hindus, Jain, Christianity, Christian people who will be lynched and who will be subjected to persecution. So under this circumstances, the security situation will remain very, very vulnerable as far as India is concerned. We need to remain alert, keep our borders under effective surveillance and check. Also, prepare for the worst eventuality on a calibrated matrix of response. When I say calibrated matrix of response, we need to war game, brainstorm. What is the worst that can happen in a long term, in the short term, in the medium term? And we need to actually, starting from there, are in the spectrum, you have diplomacy dialogue, you have non kinetic component, you have irregular or hybrid components in terms of cyber, electromagnetic, and and other issues like the space. You have biological component also, and the the three warfare strategy of China must be kept in mind, must be applied here. Information warfare is getting neglected. That also must be addressed squarely and boldly. Such like issues. And we need to identify the leverages. India has got multiple leverages. We are the largest trading partner with Bangladesh. We provide transit facility for power, be it from Bhutan or from Nepal or from India itself. We are providing large quantum of power to Bangladesh. India can leverage. There are 54 rivers which are flowing from India into Bangladesh. Okay, and the Faraka barrage, which basically stores water of Ganges. I'm sure I didn't have time to go into the details. There must be some treaty, some agreement, which will provide us a caveat, like Indus Water Treaty has been held in abeyance. So similarly, the water flowing from the Faraka barrage also can be held in abeyance, or you release it when it suits you. Don't release it when it doesn't suit you. So weaponizing the water system, weaponizing the trade, weaponizing like today there is a condition out of four conditions that the NCP leader has demanded. One of the condition is that the Indian workers in Bangladesh, their work permit will be revoked. If they revoke it, your option in India also is tit for tat. But is tit for tat? One has to weigh the pros and cons and see the cost benefit analysis. Is some all this put together? Is it going to be more than 50% beneficial to India? If it is yes, then we must go in for it. If it is no, don't go in for it. So that is the way I look at it. But his life definitely is in danger. He's not in a child's play game. He's come after 17 years. We also will do well by keeping in mind under the circumstances under which he had gone. 2004, 2008, if I recall correctly, there was a grenade attack, and I was told that he was not only a director, he was an actor in the grenade attack against Sheikh Hasina. There were corruption charges, there were charges of a lot of manipulation. Both 2004 as also, he was going beyond his limit of abusing the power. So, under these conditions, he has to be very careful, and maybe whoever has sent him as a trump card must ensure that his life is protected. Otherwise, he will be compelled to leave Bangladesh, as per my assessment, not very far off from now. Maybe another couple of days, he will find it very difficult to bear the pressure and navigate the challenges which are emerging in Bangladesh. If he leaves Bangladesh, then the elections are is anybody's guess. Who is going to be elected today? Okay, so BNP is the only saving grace, and let's see how it pans out. And BNP and the Jamaati coming together, which is a very unfavorable marriage. Let's see how it pans out. How far do they go? Even if it comes to power, I doubt if Bangladesh is going to restore back to its normalcy and stability.
Yeah. So that was a great session, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Jai Hind and Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Hind, Jai Dev. Thank you so much.